For Serbia, it's Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Veljkovic and Milenkovic in the back three, Mladenovic, Gudelj, Lukic and Zivkovic, the midfield four, with Milenkovic, Savic, Mitrovic and Tadic up top, as there's a foul this time on the left-hand side for Serbia. Pavlovic bundled over by Rafinha. It gives me an opportunity to also introduce my co-commentator, who today is Ben White, and I think we're both feeling that although Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament, that this should be an enticing and maybe difficult encounter for them.
Yeah, good evening, Will. I mean, obviously we started this day with the other two teams in this group playing off in Switzerland and Cameroon. And of course, while Brazil are, I suppose, on paper the favourites to get out the group, it's one of the what are unofficial groups of death. And the other one, of course, has just been played through, South Korea and Uruguay, and then the thrilling game which I covered only a few moments ago, and I've just caught my breath back against Portugal and Ghana. And that one's, of course, they've had their first match days now. It's time for Brazil and Serbia to catch up on that one. And I suppose, because Switzerland, it was a narrow victory for Switzerland. Of course, they weren't at all convincing. So both of these teams are going to be looking at the future matches. This one will be just as important. But let's say if Serbia were to lose this one against Brazil, they wouldn't be too disheartened, because you've got the games against Switzerland and Cameroon to try and clamber 6 points out of that one. So this group, it's still all totally to play for in what has already been a thrilling World Cup. As for Brazil, I think they'll just want to get the 3 points on the board early. Of course, they'll go into this one maybe expecting to win. But Serbia are really impressive. I mean, they were so strong in the qualifiers to get here in the first place. So there are no pushovers.
No, not at all. And Serbia will already have sort of bad memories of the last World Cup, where they were beaten by one of the last-minute goals by Xherdan Shaqiri for Switzerland to beat them 2-1 in the end, which knocked them out, of course. They're still yet to qualify for the knockout stages of a World Cup as an independent nation at the moment, Serbia. But Brazil will be quite a tall order for them. It should be an enticing encounter all the same. Maybe both teams getting on the score sheet as well, as Alexandro comes over to take this throw in on the far left-hand side for Brazil. Not much in the way of movement at this moment in time. Eventually looks to find Richarlison. Vinicius Junior almost finds Neymar, but then turns away, goes all the way back towards Marquinhos, who's on the retreat. Thiago Silva plays the ball over towards Vinicius Junior, takes it down well on the chest. It's lovely skill by the Real Madrid forward, who flicks it with the outside of his right boot to find Paqueta. Paqueta finds support in Rafinha, who gets away from Pavlovic, and this could be an opportunity for Brazil as they flood forward. Plenty of players waiting for in the middle for Rafinha. Dangerous ball in, not the greatest of deliveries in the end. It was quite comfortably dealt with by Veljkovic, and it'll go all the way out for a throw-in for Brazil midway inside the Serbia half. But already real signs of danger for the Serbian defence, particularly from the pace that Brazil have on the wings.
Oh, and absolutely. The whole purpose of the back five that Serbia have deployed is just to get, well, obviously an extra defender in the centre, but it allows the fullbacks to be wider. But we've just seen Rafinha have so much space on that side. He got behind, and it wasn't the best with balls in the end. The three centre-backs just dropping deeper to get rid of it. But I mean, just, if I was to compare it to the game just then between Portugal and Ghana, they stayed narrow to force Portugal out wide and get balls into the box, which didn't pay off. It'll be interesting to see how Serbia deal with this one. I mean, they'll try and come forward a lot more often than perhaps Ghana did in that first half. I like they are right now, for example. But just to go back on the point of Rafinha, he's finding a lot more space again on this side. Milinkovic-Savic does well to tackle him. But the wing back at the moment, Mladenovic, the number 25, he looked so advanced in that play, and Rafinha just found acres of space. So that's an interesting battle to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, here is Mladenovic on the left-hand side with a throw-in for Serbia, just inside the Brazil half. Looking for some support further forward. Only really has Alexander Mitrovic, hasn't got much in the way of movement. Eventually the Fulham forward brings it down the chest, tries to immediately hammer it over to the opposite side, and does so, finding Zivkovic. His pass cut out, but he'll fall back to him and finds Dusan Tadic. Will try and take on Thiago Silva, the two captains. Tadic gets towards the byline, quick feet. Only Mitrovic in support in the area. Eventually he's getting a little bit more now. Tadic well held up, dangerous ball in, headed away by Casemiro. Will fall as far as Milenkovic. Moves over towards Veljkovic, and now Pavlovic on the left. Brazil just sitting back and inviting some pressure here from the opposition, and then that's poor play by Pavlovic. Paqueta is then fouled by the number 2, who then comes in through the back of Neymar as well. That will be a free kick for Brazil, and it looks like a yellow card is going to be shown as well. The first booking of the game there, Ben.
Well, it's a nightmare to get a yellow card 5 minutes in, not least against a team so attacking in what is such an attacking lineup for Brazil. I mean, if you're looking at it on paper, Paqueta's the one that's sitting deep, and then you've got the 4 ahead of him as well. So it's going to be a nightmare for the Serbian defence, and to already get a yellow card so early on in this one. You've got essentially an entire game now. Ed Hooks and Pavlovic really has to be careful for the rest of the game. He can't commit to not as many fouls as he might so attacking. Let's say later in the game, Serbia were trying to play for something at least. He's sort of lost that freedom to sort of give away a tactical foul here and there. So he's going to be targeted now by the yellow card so early on.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there, but from what I was at least trying to lip read from the referee, it looks like he was indicating that the first foul wasn't for the yellow card. It was maybe the speed and the way he came in for the second one afterwards. That's where the bookings actually come from, which based on how the initial play sort of played out, I can't really complain with the logic of the referee there, who today is Alireza Fergani, as our off-tube studio fixtures focuses in on the Serbian coach Dragan Stankovic. I'm sure he'll be somewhat happy with how his side have reacted, at least, to that early chance from Rafinha. They've grown into this game more and more, had a fair bit of possession. Milenkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper here, with the goal kick, looking to spread that towards the left-hand side. It's deep, coming towards Mitrovic. Just a lovely cushion header down to find Sergei Milenkovic-Savic. He gets away from Marquinhos, but in the end he just ran out of room, and Casemiro makes the clearance. Pavlovic's header, was he caught in the air by Richarlison? He might have been, but play on. Mladenovic then loses out. The clearance by Rafinha, don't think came off a man in red. As we see a replay here, I mean, Pavlovic has gone down saying he's been caught in the head, but there was absolutely no contact whatsoever. In the end, Marquinhos actually did just enough with that tackle, flicking it off the heel of Milenkovic-Savic. So throw in for Brazil on this near left-hand side. Serbia have done well to get in front of Neymar, and somehow Lukic, in holding off Neymar, had managed to take off Neymar's shirt, which is quite impressive, Ben.
But does he want Neymar to get a yellow card for taking his shirt off? It could be a tactical thing, but yeah, you don't see that so often, do you? Yeah, quite a bizarre one.
Here's Mladenovic, back towards Pavlovic, away from Richarlison. Mladenovic goes back towards Veljkovic, and the pressure comes in from Neymar. And he's saying this is going to be the key World Cup where his history will be made from. Not entirely sure if I agree with that decision or not. He definitely has at least one more World Cup in him, if not two. His early 30s, Neymar. He's always had a little bit of injury concerns during various World Cups. What have you made of his sort of legacy on the international stage, Neymar?
Well, I mean, credit for him, because it was only 2 years after, of course, that terrible 7-1 defeat. They then won the Olympic gold medal, where he scored the winning penalty from that shootout against Germany. And whilst, of course, that may not be the competition that he wants to be remembered for, he might want to be remembered for the World Cup, for example. Of course, they won the Copa America back in 2019. So, well, there's a ball into, well, it's into the box with Rafinha in the end, and it's all a bit of a mess from Serbia in the end. I think the back five just clambered together to, as a team, try and get the ball away as desperately as possible. Goes towards the halfway line where Serbia can just find a bit of space on that ball after that little panic. But yeah, going back to Neymar, so he's got obviously the Copa America. He was responsible for the Olympic gold medal at least. I don't think his international image is sort of ruined by that. If that's what you might be alluding to, I don't know. Because it was more just the entire Brazilian team. Of course, he was so good in that 2014 World Cup, and he was injured before that match, wasn't he? I believe the injury came against Colombia in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
So as far as his image in Brazil, of course, it's still at a supreme level. And I think you're right in saying that this won't be his last World Cup. But, well, time is remorseless for everybody. It's always the career will come to an end at some point. So you can't pick and choose when you might win the World Cup, so he's going to give it a real go on this occasion.
Yeah, so Serbia almost had an opportunity there. Zivkovic putting a ball into the area. It wasn't really anywhere near any man in red, and was quite comfortably gathered by Alisson Becker in the Brazil goal. Here's Casemiro to find Richarlison, who skips away from one, easily held off though by Veljkovic, who's really had Richarlison's number in these early exchanges, as Mitrovic is then fouled quite nasty, I thought, by Lucas Paqueta. Came in late on Mitrovic, just standing on the toes of the Serb before swiping at the back of his heels as well. As a double hitter. And considering the tackle that Pavlovic was booked for, maybe Paqueta's a little bit fortunate to avoid any further punishment. But here is Pavlovic for Serbia. Little under 11 minutes gone so far. Listening to off-tube studio commentary. Brazil 0, Serbia 0, still the current scoreline. Here's Milinkovic-Savic. Now finding support in the form of Vejkovic. Spread over towards Gudelj. Nice 1-2 between Gudelj and Milinkovic-Savic. Trying to find Mitrovic, just squirmed away from the Fulham striker. Silva finds Marquinhos. Over towards the right-hand side now in Danilo. Back towards Thiago Silva. Brazil trying to maintain the pressure with the possession and dictate play. But they are making a few individual errors, as Dusan Tadic is then well tackled by Casemiro. It's Rafinha that does really well to recover. And play it back towards Danilo. 11, almost 12 minutes in, Ben, and I've got to say it's a very, very even encounter.
It is, isn't it? Because after, what was it, about 2 minutes, Brazil sort of broke the line of Serbia, and you thought, well, maybe the weakness is already there. But since then, they've just looked so solid, and a lot of the action has been in the middle of the park, as seen by the fouls. You mentioned that Paqueta might have been lucky. I'm surprised that Alireza Fagani got his yellow cards out so soon, but then to not give it to Paqueta, maybe a bit of consistency. I would have rather that no yellow cards been given at an early stage, which some refs seem to give out. Brazil are going to see a lot more of the ball compared to Serbia. They'll get into the final third a lot more as Vinicius Junior gets past the back line of Serbia, but in the end I think Milenkovic does brilliantly well to charge the Real Madrid winger down and get the vital tackle out in the end for a corner kick. In fact, it was the right wing back Zivkovic who had tracked all the way to, well, get what was a vital touch in the end to take it out for a corner off the feet of Vinicius Junior. So even, but a few times now they're getting past the back line of Serbia. We're 12 minutes in, you're going to imagine a lot more, and it's up to them to try and, well, stay solid.
Yeah, I completely agree. The corner kick's whipped in and it's punched away by the goalkeeper, Milenkovic-Savic. I think it was Neymar that took that corner kick with real pace and fizz on it, and, well, that might have been dipping underneath the crossbar, and, well, the keeper couldn't take any chances there whatsoever. I will bring Ben's thoughts about that in just a few moments as we await the next corner kick to be taken as well. As the referee just holds up play briefly to have a few words with the Serbia defence. Neymar with the delivery again. That's not a bad delivery either, but this one straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, Milenkovic-Savic. But Neymar, well, almost trying to do his fellow countryman Douglas Luiz into the back of the net.
I was just about to say that, Will. Yeah, obviously there's another Brazilian player that's so famed for it this year. He's not in the squad, Douglas Luiz, but yeah, for me, it's almost like a one-on-one battle between Neymar and Milenkovic-Savic there, because for the first corner, he saw the keeper was so far off his line. He was almost on the line of the 6-yard area, so he saw that gap and he's gone for it, and it would have gone in had Milenkovic-Savic not scrambled back to punch it. And then from that second corner, he's obviously learned his lesson almost. He's sat a bit deeper as the keeper, and he's won the second one at least by claiming the ball. But very nearly getting caught out there. Just a bit of Brazilian ingenuity.
Yes, which they have in abundance, really. He's got 75 goals in what is now his 122nd appearance for his country at the age of just 30 years old. He's had a wonderful goal-scoring career in that regard, and he will, of course, be the danger man. Maybe playing in a position that he's sort of less prefers, in more of a central midfield role rather than being on his favoured left wing. It's now being occupied by Vinicius Junior, who himself has only ever actually got one goal for his country in what's now 17 appearances. Here's Pavlovic, away from his marker, finding Mladenovic back towards Gudelj. Gudelj will find support in the form of Vejkovic now. Milos Vejkovic playing his football in the Bundesliga with Werder Bremen. Vejkovic away from Richarlison, back towards Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. Vejkovic will pick up possession once more. Brazil doing really well to press from the front and force Serbia further and further back. The lofted clearance by the goalkeepers, headed away by Alexandro. Paqueta can't get on the end of it, headed away by Milinkovic-Savic to find Mitrovic, and Serbia recover possession once more. Here's Strahinja Pavlovic going short towards Nemanja Gudelj. Now Milinkovic-Savic once more. over towards the right-hand side in Tadic. Can Serbia kickstart an attack from the back? Struggling at the moment to find much headway forward. Brazil have done well to shut up shop in that respect. Gudelj goes towards Tadic, and Sandro forced him backwards, then he surely fouls the Serbian man. It's actually Zivkovic that hit the deck there. And Sandro just got slightly too close to his man, but they're hustling and harrying the Serbians at the moment, Brazil, and making things really difficult for Serbia to get anywhere near the penalty area, let alone create a chance.
Yeah, it's tough for Serbia. I mean, I'm sure they do want to get to the Brazil penalty area, but I think that maybe the priority at the moment is just to get a bit of possession in the game, and buying free kicks like that is exactly what they're going to want, just to slow the game down, because Brazil are always going to want to come forward. They've had the scares, and then obviously the corner from Neymar as well. And we've mentioned that possession will fall in favour more with the Brazilians than it will the Serbians. So when they do have the ball, Serbia, they're going to want to make it count, or at the very least, priority number one is to just not give the ball away. They've given away a free kick in their own half under the challenge of Milenkovic from Vinicius Jr. I think he's going to be a handful as well. You mentioned that obviously Neymar's going to be playing more centrally. I suppose that's just because obviously you've got a far younger player now in Vinicius who's got abundance of pace, as opposed to, well, Neymar, he's on the wrong side of 30 now, I suppose, but he's obviously so many years ahead of him. But with that experience, maybe you just need that sort of tactical nous in the centre of the field, and then you get the pacey wingers like Rafinha and Vinicius to run at the defenders. Yeah,
but and we keep sort of singing the praises of Neymar and how he is the danger man for Brazil, but we cannot rule out Serbia in the form of Alexander Mitrovic, who's having a fantastic season with Fulham at the moment. And his goal-scoring exploits for Serbia, they're better than Neymar's, in fairness. 50 goals in 76 appearances. It's nothing to shirk at whatsoever. It's why he's keeping out the highly touted talents of Dusan Vlahovic and, of course, former Real Madrid man Luka Jovic off of starting for Serbia.
Well, and then, of course, he goes and has that, albeit it was in the Championship for the promotion season of Fulham, but it was a record-breaking season as well.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic striker, and that record speaks for itself. You'd argue that even outside of the numbers, it's just as impressive, because in theory Serbia might not be as well glittered as a team like Brazil. And then you can argue, and I don't necessarily agree with, and there goes Neymar with a few rolls, the first of the World Cup, but and out for a throw-in for Brazil. Referee wave play on. Neymar is going to have a chat with the referee, still down on the deck. But just going back to that about Mitrovic, there's the argument always that in the European qualifiers it's a tougher competition to get through compared to the CONMEBOL, which I don't necessarily agree with, but nevertheless, the opposition that Mitrovic has had to face, and he has that record through only the talent of himself, it's really, really remarkable.
Yes, as you mentioned, we have now seen the first of what's almost a trademark Neymar role of going over under no or very minimal contact, and, well, rolling, having more rolls than a bakery, really. I think I counted about 5 there from Neymar.
I can't remember the number it was in that 2018 one, but I think it had reached 7 or 8.
Yes.
It was a record-breaking one, no doubt.
Here is Thiago Silva for the Seleção, moving it towards Paqueta on the right-hand side. Now with Rafinha, looking to take on his man, back towards the run of Paqueta, who's tackled, then Milinkovic-Savic can't hold on to it either. Thiago Silva finding Marquinhos, and Marquinhos will turn away from his man and hold on to possession and bring this forward once more. Thiago Silva spreads it towards Alexandro on the left. Serbia keeping their shape rather than looking to press from the front at this moment in time. A little under 20 minutes gone so far in this game. Listening to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Brazil 0, Serbia 0. As Neymar has his pocket picked by Milenkovic, but Alexandro's there to bring this ball further forward. The Juventus fullback now finding Vinicius Jr. on the left. Holds on to the ball well. Goes back towards Neymar. He might shape up to go for goal from long range. Does it? Cannons into the side of Veljkovic as there's Richarlison down in the middle off the ball. I'm not sure if that will be looked at by VAR. Brazil still have possession, granted on their own halfway line at this moment in time. Richarlison is back onto his feet and has slowly made his way back onto an onside position. Here's Marquinhos for Brazil. Over towards the right now in the form of Danilo. Marquinhos again, this time finding Support for Rafinha. Casemiro over towards Neymar. Finds Vinicius Jr. once again, trying to take on Zivkovic. Plays it back towards Casemiro. He might shape out to go for goal as well. He's got a good shot. Casemiro stung the hands of the goalkeeper, who did drop it initially there, Milinkovic-Savic, but thankfully took enough sting out of the shot to make sure that it didn't rebound kindly into the former Richarlison.
Yeah, there you go. Richarlison's just ready to pounce on any spill, and he just about does enough, doesn't he? They're trying a few shots from range, because Neymar tried one only about a minute ago. Crashed off the side of Velikovic. So they've tried a bit of both, haven't they? They've tried to get past the back line of Serbia. They've tried the strikes from range. There's a bit of variety in Tite's tactics at the moment. He'll be happy with what he's seen so far. They haven't got that goal at the moment, but they've seen a lot of the ball. They've really prevented Serbia from trying to advance towards their own penalty box. But having said that, here comes Serbia.
Yes, here they come indeed. There's an opportunity for Tadic. Away from Vinicius, but his pass is then well blocked by the Brazilian forward. That was good tracking back by Vinicius Jr. He'll pick up possession here from Alexandro. Looks for support. Wants to go Neymar, but doesn't have the required movement. Then runs straight into traffic in the form of Milenkovic. And Serbia will hold on to possession with Gudelj, who looks left, finds support in Mladenovic. Back towards Gudelj once again. Brazil have done well to get players back behind the ball and just keep their shape. They'll actually go all the way back towards Milinkovic-Savic once more, and Serbia will have to try and recycle possession from their defensive third. We are now at the halfway stage of this first half. It is Brazil 0, Serbia 0, and it will be Ben White that will take you through to half-time.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, still goalless in this one. Half-decent chances for Brazil. It's worth mentioning that we already have had 4 goalless draws in this World Cup competition. There was only 1 in the 2018 edition, 7 in the one before that, which was hosted, of course, by Brazil. Might be on track for beating that one as well. Of course, the previous game between Portugal and Ghana did go 65 minutes without a goal, and then we saw 5 in the last half an hour in a World Cup that has already had plenty of surprises. We can be guaranteed of absolutely nothing. Throw-in taken by Serbia, given away, but given away then cheaply further by Lucas Paqueta. Goes on to the far side of the Serbian defence with Mladenovic into Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Pressed well by Rafinha and Danilo. And in the end, it's Marquinhos, almost in a right-winger position, that pressed Pavlovic. He tries to shield it out for a goal kick, which they just about get away with it on Serbia. They made a meal of it, really. But I think it's full marks to Brazil there, because Marquinhos was so far advanced, far out of his centre-back position, really. Just showed the desire to get the ball back in what does seem like a real high press from Brazil.
Yes, and they've got so much pace as well with this high press, and you can just see a lot of worry and fear in the eyes of this back three of Serbia. They're getting caught one-on-one on a few occasions, and thankfully the physicality of this Serbian side at the moment for them is holding firm, but they just need one ball over the top or through the middle, and the pace of this Brazil attack in particular, not just the wingers, but just in that front three, and the likes of Paqueta and Neymar and the wing-backs as well, could cause so many issues for this Serbian defence. They have to be careful, and they've got to remain rigid.
Of course, these two teams are no strangers to each other. They did face one another in the last World Cup back in Russia. They're in the same group as them. Incidentally, they're in the same group as well as Switzerland. So they've got that to look forward to as well against recent foes. Brazil did come out on top in that fixture, winning or beating Serbia by 2-0. Serbians are coming forward here, and what is a rare chance for them to get into the final third. It's a ball from Dusan Tadic, looking for Alexander Mitrovic. Alisson comes out and claims the ball at the second time of asking. He did spill it under the pressure of his own player then in the end with Danilo. The ball crashing off his back once Alisson was in possession. It's a rare opportunity forward for Serbia, just showing that they do it's so easy to come forward with technical ability of Dusan Tadic and the height for that lone striker of Alexander Mitrovic. Will, of course, mentioned earlier, there are plenty of attacking talent with Serbia. Look at Luka Jovic, who might have lost his ways in recent years. Of course, he had that loan spell. Well, he's currently on loan at Fiorentina. He had a loan spell back at Eintracht Frankfurt, where he originally burst onto the scene before his move to Real Madrid. Dusan Vlahovic, of course, who earned a move away from Fiorentina to Juventus. So there's a lot of options at the disposal of the Serbian manager for this tournament. But had defeat 4 years ago. Goal scorers incidentally were Paulinho, of course he's no longer in the squad, and Captain Fantastic Thiago Silva, who does the armband again for the Seleção this evening. Here he is on the ball, giving out wide to Danilo. And I think I'd like to ask your opinion on this, Will, in fact, because I think it's such a strong squad, Brazil, and they've got so much depth. I think if you were to ask a Brazilian, for example, or anyone that watches them so often, one of the weakest positions in their squad maybe are both full-backs. Because, of course, Danilo and Alexandro, he's on the other side, sort of towards the end of their career. They're very talented full-backs in their own right and in their prime. But there doesn't seem to be someone of a young age that is coming up to replace the likes of, well, Dani Alves, who coincidentally he's in the squad with Pumas of Mexico. He's not had the best of seasons there either. He was at Sao Paulo before that. Marcelo, I don't think he's even played a minute for Olympiacos, and they might release him due to a lack of fitness. So fullback seems an issue for Brazil at the moment. There's a through ball made by Thiago Silva, looking for Vinicius Junior. Milinkovic-Savic does brilliantly to smother that one away from the Real Madrid winger. Not only that, but to then run before Neymar to thump it clear for a Brazil throw-in. They'll take it quickly. Will Neymar looking Alexandro is there as an option. They're going to earn a free kick in a dangerous position here. I think in the end it was Milinkovic who was tugging the shirt of Neymar. He's already had it off his back once, nearly for a second time. He's remonstrating with the referee Alireza Fagani, well, obviously his opinion against that free kick. It's a wonderful through ball from Thiago Silva. Just looking at our replays there, brilliant goalkeeping from Milinkovic-Savic in the end.
Yeah, it's fantastic goalkeeping, and he's done really, really well to get there in front of Vinicius Junior. But the offside trap attempted by the Serbian back three was absolutely atrocious. Vekovic tries to come forward without realising Pavlovic behind him is about 2 yards, but playing on Vinicius Junior there, and then no communications ever given to Milinkovic on the far right-hand side. And that's a couple of times now that Serbia have tried a tactic like that, and it's completely failed. And they were really bailed out by their goalkeeper there.
Well, flat back five are going to be helped out by some midfielders and forwards whilst they defend this set piece. I think there's a line of 7 at the moment trying to combat the Brazil attack. They take a short. Neymar back into Rafinha. Chance to look towards the back post. It goes far beyond the back post. Straight out for a throw-in on the far side. There's ironic cheers from the Serbian crowd from that one. A wasted opportunity by Brazil. It gives me a chance to finally ask for your thoughts on the full-back scenario with Brazil. That it just seems that there isn't anyone up and coming for them at the moment. Yeah, and to be honest, I never really thought about that until you brought it up. I really can't think of anyone that's going to sort of suitably fit in there, unless they've got some up and comers maybe in the Brazilian leagues, where there's always a plethora of talent to be picked at by either the Brazilian national side or the European leagues either. But that could be a real issue, because for maybe the last 15, 20 years or so, possibly even longer than that, they've had one of, if not both, of the best fullbacks in the world. Obviously, you've got like Dani Alves and Marcelo. Before that, Roberto Carlos and Cafu. It's been a position that they've always found great talent in. Carlos Alberto, if you're going even further back. But nowadays, after the likes of Alexandro and Danilo, which, in all fairness to them, aren't in the same league as those guys, they really don't have anyone. So I'm not sure if they might have to adapt somewhat, maybe convert some wingers into wing backs, and maybe change their formation into a back three, so they don't have to play full backs and can still keep some attacking players going forward. But it's definitely going to be a real issue in the tournaments to come for them. And it could be an area that teams really look to try and exploit them for. Long ball from Casemiro, looking for Rafinha. He heads it into a dangerous position. And Velikovic in the end does enough to clear it out for a corner. But, well, I mean, you mentioned the calibre of players of those fullbacks. Maybe our expectations are just too high nowadays. But once in a generation, really, for Brazil, and they get so many all at once. It's quite remarkable. Of course, Will did mention that all these players, of course, will have come from the Brazilian league, a league that is so full of talent. There's only 3 in the squad that do ply their trade in the Brasileirão. As for Serbia, only one of those does appear in their domestic league. Corner taken, it's a poor one from Rafinha. He's lucky that Mladenovic hooked it away for another corner. It's a second chance for Rafinha to make amends. Just going back to that, there's only one Serbian player that does represents the domestic league. So Irakovic of Red Star Belgrade. Short corner taken this time towards Lucas Paqueta. It's a nice back heel to give it back into Rafinha. Tries to fizz it to the near post where Thiago Silva, of all people, was acting as the poacher. Just out of reach of his studs. Any touch on it really could have caused issues for Milenkovic Savic. But the goalkeeper sort of calls that bluff in a way, stands his ground and collects it calmly. He's offloaded it quickly to Dusan Tadic. In fact, it was Zivkovic in the end who goes down. Referee sees nothing doing. He's still on the deck. So the right back is out of position at the moment. Fortunate to just give away a throw-in on the halfway line, which Brazil will take quickly. Coming forward now is Neymar, out to Vinicius Junior. He's got acres of space to run into Milenkovic. I think the ball might have just gone out for a throw-in after that pass was made by Neymar. It's worth mentioning one of the most remarkable statistics, if we are going to mention so many in this coverage, is that Brazil have appeared in every single World Cup in the tournament's history. And of course, going into this one as one of the theoretical favourites, perhaps alongside Argentina, who of course had a huge slip-up in their opening match against Saudi Arabia, just proving that nothing is absolutely certain in this World Cup. But they had a fantastic qualifying campaign. They remained unbeaten in all 17 of their matches, winning 14 of those, drawing 3. They of course only played 17. The 18th, or at least I think it was on match day 12 or 13, was supposed to be against Argentina, and that match comically was cut short after I think 5 minutes when health officials came on to say that Argentinian players would not be allowed to take part in the game on Brazil territory during the COVID pandemic. But given that both teams already qualified, they didn't feel the need to play the game, and to be honest, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I do remember that. If I'm right in thinking, all players were Premier League based, or at least, or maybe just left. Because I'm not sure if Lo Celso, who was one of the players, had just gone from Tottenham to Villarreal at that point. But yeah, it was a real comical farce. That entire palaver, really. But it was always going to be quite comfortable for both Brazil and Argentina to progress into this World Cup, and like you say, to have qualified for every single edition of this tournament is a very impressive feat. One stat that I did see is in regards to Tite. Actually, he's the first Brazilian manager to lead his side into 2 consecutive World Cups since the 80s. So it just shows maybe this Brazilian manager job is almost the equivalent of managing Chelsea in the Abramovich era. If you're not going to win us the title, then you're gone. It shows how much Brazil, or sorry, how much football is lauded as a religion in Brazil.
It was a really bizarre scenario. Just thinking back again, just to that match between Brazil and Argentina, it kept both of their unbeaten records intact. Of course, Argentina's came to perhaps a surprising end when they did lose to Saudi Arabia. It was a 36-match unbeaten run that could not advance further. The record, of course, is with Italy, just only a year ago achieved with 37. Argentina was so close to overtaking that one. The best Brazil could achieve was 35 between 1993 and 1996. Here's Rafinha into Paqueta, the 1-2 between the two of them. Ex-Leeds winger and the current West Ham midfielder linking up rather well. It cut through about 4 or 5 Serbian defenders there. It was brilliant link-up play between the two of them, but a poor finish in the end.
By far and beyond the best bit of football that we've seen in this game. Great 1-2 between Rafinha and Paqueta. Does he have time to take a touch and take a shot? It's arguable, maybe, probably not. But for a player of Rafinha's quality, he's got to be doing better there. He doesn't hit a shot with any real conviction. It's tame. It's straight at the goalkeeper. Not really near any of the corners. And considering the 1-2 that was done in the first place, it deserved far more than the ending that we got. But it's at least something else to write down. It's only the third sort of meaningful shot that I've got written down. Everything going towards Brazil's way at the moment. Serbia really struggling to test this Brazilian defence and Alisson in the Brazilian goal. But at the moment, Brazil, with all their attacking stars that they have in the field, they're not really testing Milenkovic Savic in the Serbian goal either.
No, attacking-wise, it's been slow. I suppose in the balance of play, it's been assured by Brazil at the moment. They do look relatively comfortable, albeit with the scoreline still at 0-0. Mentioned that they have appeared in every World Cup. Of course, having the most World Cup titles to their name with 5. It's a surprise, really, to consider that they haven't reached a World Cup final since 2002, 2 decades ago now. How remarkable it is to think that. And I mean, you look back at 2006 and they fell against France. 2010, 2014, of course, that one against Germany. 2018, losing to Belgium. Where do you rank their opportunity of reaching to a final for this one?
Well, I would say that, well, obviously they're touted heavily as one of the favourites, and even though they haven't appeared in a final since 2002, I think I'm right thinking they're the last World Cup winners to have not been eliminated from the following tournament's group stage, which based on how they performed in their opening game, France are likely to avoid that feat this time around. I think with their run-in, it's going to be an interesting one for who they actually come up against, because based on the opening shocks that we've had, I should say, they might actually have an easier run to the final than maybe previously predicted. So I think with how these early results are going, if they could beat Serbia today, I would heavily expect them to get semi-finals as a bare minimum, but they realistically should be in the final.
Serbia having a rare entrance into the final third of Belgium. It's a good spell of possession, really, for the European side. On the far side is Pavlovic. Acres of space to try and run at Rafinha. So he checks back for Veljkovic. I mean, I'm full of praise for Brazil's qualifying campaign in the CONMEBOL Federation. Of course, Serbia finished their UEFA World Cup qualification unbeaten as well. Of course, they only played 8 matches. Play less, of course, in UEFA compared to the likes of CONMEBOL. I think Brazil, well, of course, it's 18 matches if that Brazil and Argentina match went ahead. For Serbia, they only had to play 8 games, but they won 6 of those, including, of course, what was a very crucial match in the final match day by defeating Portugal to finish top of their group and avoid having to go into the playoff, which, of course, Portugal then needed to do. They needed to end up beating North Macedonia. So it was a really impressive qualification campaign for Serbia in what was quite a tough group.
Yeah, well, it was a really tough group, and I think over the past maybe 6 to 8 years or so, I'm beginning to see this is definitely very beneficial from a worldwide football point of view, is that the group stages now are less obvious what's going to happen. You normally think with how the groups go, all right, England are going to finish top, and Andorra finish bottom in their group, because they always seem to come across, or maybe San Marino. Your France's, your Germany's, your Italy's, they're always going to finish top, and there's never going to be any real shock inclusion. But nowadays, well, Italy aren't in this World Cup. Before that, the Netherlands hadn't qualified for a fair few. Some of these sort of lower to mid-range teams are coming higher and higher and really causing issues and making good fists of it against the higher groups. Think of the Nations League, for example, how well Hungary did against the likes of England and Germany, of course. So I think it's great from a world stage point of view that Serbia were able to top their group and put Portugal down level, and it might mean that in the future we're not thinking of the stereotypical big sides because they've got like maybe the best leagues, but they're maybe not the best international sides, and it's going to make it more of an even contest across Europe, which I think is going to be fantastic.
Well, them reaching this edition at least of the World Cup was in no small part due to the goals scored by Alexander Mitrovic. I'll continue that in a second because Paqueta fizzes the ball in looking for Richarlison. Veljkovic does just about enough to clear it in the end, and there's a chance for Serbia to come on the counter-attack here. They've not got many men forward. Full credit to Brazil, really, because they've clambered back. I think that 8 or 9 of the outfield players had just about got behind the ball in a matter of seconds. But, going back to about Alexander Mitrovic, we've already been waxing lyrical about him. He didn't finish top scorer in the entire of qualifying, but he did finish top scorer for Serbia with 8 goals. Vlahovic is second best with 4. They didn't have them too spread out, in fact, in Serbia. They only had 6 different scorers in their qualifying campaign compared to Brazil, who had nearly 3 times as many as 15 separate scorers for the Canarinho in their South American qualification campaign. If nothing else, that just shows the depth that Brazil have and the individual talents that Serbia have. But there we go, we're at the World Cup with 2 teams competing against each other, still level.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you just need to think of the attacking talents that Brazil didn't bother taking. The likes of Roberto Firmino, Mateus Cunha, Felipe Coutinho, All fantastic, creative players that weren't picked this time. I mean, Brazil are always blessed with fantastic attacking ability, normally, or generational stuff. As an opportunity here for Brazil. Vinicius Junior comes forward, he gets a shot away, goes out for a goal kick. It was a bit of a defensive howler from Serbia this time around. Vinicius, I think, is appealing for either a corner or a penalty, not sure which. Was Milenkovic that was caught out. I think he actually makes a clearance into his own face before Vinicius Junior manages to break forward. Almost calamitous for Milenkovic. Vinicius can't make use of it, though.
Just want to have a look at the replay. I think, well, the shot is definitely blocked, so Vinicius is certainly going to claim for a corner. Whether or not it bounced back off of the Real Madrid winger afterwards is another question. I think it did in the end, allowing for a scuffed opportunity that goes past the post of Serbia's keeper. He launches it forward, looking for his brother. The ball into the box, looking for Alexander Mitrovic, goes over his head and out for a throw-in. I think in the end, the referee might have given a free kick for Brazil. And Thiago Silva, Alexander Mitrovic making a nuisance of himself in and around the penalty area. But we do have a familiar link, of course, in this lineup. As I mentioned, the keeper and Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Vanya is his brother, both born in Spain. And still, regardless, both representing Serbia at the highest level in this 2022 World Cup. Neymar going down quite lightly in the end under the pressure of Zivkovic. Does enough to earn a free kick.
Are they the only brothers in this World Cup? Because I know in the previous World Cup we've had
Andre and Jordan Ayew.
Of course, yeah, the Ayews.
But apart from that, I can't think of any others.
No, nothing that's sort of glaringly obvious. Obviously, in the past we've had obviously the rare occasion of brothers playing for different nations, of Jerome and Kevin Prince Boateng for Germany and Ghana, and I think in the Euros you had the two Xhakas of Switzerland and Albania respectively. But you know, it's always great to see some family resemblance playing for your national side, and obviously the parents obviously very, very proud.
Well, it's a good thing you just mentioned that there could be brothers representing different nations, because of course you've got Iñaki Williams for Ghana, yeah, and Nico Williams, who of course came on for Spain in what was a thumping 7-0 victory.
Just to clarify, not the Nico Williams for Wales.
Oh, of course not. It could be triplets, but corner kick for Brazil after a tackle from Pavlovic. Two mountains really, the Milinkovic-Savic brothers. The midfielder, who of course represents Lazio and has been a standout player in Serie A for so many years, is of 6'4". The goalkeeper's of 6'9", a real tower at the back. Of course, will be of big help for corners like this one.
Yeah, it really, really will. First, I'm not entirely sure it really should be a corner. I thought Rafinha overran that personally, and it looks like that's exactly what's happened. It's going to be a goal kick for Serbia. But yeah, it's always good to have a man mountain of a goalkeeper. Just take yesterday, for example. I mean, Donnarumma. I mean, being so young, so good in his position, and being that tall, it's frankly criminal from a goalkeeping perspective. But Milinkovic-Savic, there he'll make up a lot of ground very easily, and I think it really limits attacking players into what they can do when going for goal. You can't really go high, you have to hit it low.
Obviously a very solid keeper and defence really. In their qualification campaign they did only concede 9 goals from 8 matches, scoring 18 in the process. Managed to have a good opportunity yet, but perhaps one here with the through ball from Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, looking for Serbia's captain Dusan Tadic. They weren't exactly on the same wavelength, very nearly under the spell of Tadic. Instead, Brazil can come forward relatively quickly with Neymar looking for Rafinha. Has found quite a lot of open territory on this near side up against Mladenovic. Not on the money, this pass from Neymar on this occasion. Does get the ball back this time from Alexandro into Lucas Paqueta. Of course, now of West Ham United after his summer transfer from Olympique Lyonnais. There's another man that made a summer transfer, Rafinha, moving from Leeds to Catalonia to represent Barcelona, of course, top of La Liga at the moment, under the helm of Xavi Hernandez. Good interception from Gudelic, Serbia's number 8, as the ball was just about entering their penalty area. Lukic wins quite a valuable foul in the end, and well, the wow from Will is to, well, more of a surprise that only 1 minute, of course, has been added on. I mentioned in the previous game, of course, Pierluigi Collina has made it very clear They want to add on a lot of injury time, not just for pauses such as substitutions or time wasting, but whenever a corner goes out, a goal kick, goal celebrations as well, which is why we've seen so many minutes added on. And after all of that, we're only going to get 60 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat agree with Pierluigi Cleaner's thought process there, because there is a lot of unnecessary time wasting, which means they're not really playing the 90 minutes. I think the people are just so sort of shocked by it all because it is so new. It's something that we haven't really seen before. But I'm very much a pro that stance. But yeah, I think this is the first, well, off the top of my head, from an added time perspective, I'm not sure if it's just first half or second half, but it's definitely, it's the first pre-3 minute added on time that we've seen in this tournament. In fact, that might actually be the half-time whistle already as we're talking.
Well, I was so surprised in previous years to see 5 or 6 minutes added on. Now we're surprised to see 1 minute. But anyway, that 1 minute passed very quickly in a half that hasn't seen too much action. Maybe the best for Brazil, but Serbia are looking very tight at the moment. At the break, it's Brazil 0, Serbia 0.
Way for the second half of this World Cup encounter between Brazil and Serbia. Goalless after the first period of 45 minutes. No chances of note for Serbia, only a handful for Brazil. Should they be 1-0 up at this point from the clear-cut chance that they created with the form of Rafinha, or do you think 0-0 is a fair scoreline?
I think 0-0 is a fair scoreline, but Rafinha is in one-on-one already, 35 seconds in. And if they shouldn't have been 1-0 up in the first half, they should be now. What a glorious opportunity for Rafinha. Full credit to Milinkovic-Savic there, because it was the mistake from his own defender and his alertness to just rush out and close down the gap and get that save from the Barcelona winger. That's the best chance of the game right there.
Almost commentators curse immediately from speaking. But Rafinha's shot was well saved by the goalkeeper, but he's got to be finishing that, if we're being honest. There's been no changes by the looks of things for this second half. Just as we were for Brazil, it's Alisson in goal, Danilo, Silva, Marquinhos and Sandro in the defence, Casemiro, Paqueta, Neymar in the midfield, Rafinha, Richarlison and Vinicius up top. For Serbia, Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Veljkovic and Milenkovic the back three, Mladenovic, Gudelj, Lukic and Zivkovic the midfield, with Tadic, Milinkovic-Savic and Mitrovic up top. And the only yellow card is for Serbia as well, in the form of Pavlovic. Here's Brazil in possession, Casemiro trying to set off Rafinha, intercepted by Pavlovic, back towards Milinkovic-Savic, who makes the lofted clearance. One in the air by Casemiro. Now breaking forward is Zivkovic. Milinkovic-Savic's pass is blocked by Marquinhos. Now Richarlison, somewhat isolated, will try and get away from Pavlovic. As Neymar in support, clearance is made. Richarlison falls into Milenkovic, no foul. Serbia will continue playing a crossfield pass towards Zivkovic. Knockdown finds Tadic. Richarlison slowly getting up to his feet. Tadic does well to hold on to possession. There's it down the line, can't find a man in red, and goes straight back to Brazil with Casemiro. And well, the moment they lose possession, Brazil, they just swarm the Serbian midfield and make it so difficult for the creativity of Tadic to actually do anything there.
It's very impressive, but the thing I was just frustrated at there then was actually when Brazil gave the ball away at the feet of Richarlison. He should have laid that off to Vinicius on the left-hand side before his last touch, and then he shouldn't go down anyway because there was no contact. I think he realised that the mistake was made. He should have given it to Vinicius, and then he was just trying to earn a free kick in the process.
Alexandro finding Paqueta, trying to scrum it out towards Neymar, intercepted. Tadic, that's a lovely skill to find Mitrovic. Is he able to hold on to it? He is. Fantastic play by Mitrovic to set off Zivkovic on the right-hand side. He'll be watched well by Alexandro. Zivkovic uses quick feet, then gets it stuck inside his feet. And he does well to find Milinkovic-Savic. He then loses out. It was actually Lukic, sorry. Now an opportunity here for Brazil with Neymar to come forward. He's been scythed down by Gudelj. That is going to be a free kick on the edge of the area and a yellow card to Gudelj as well. And that is probably the most obvious yellow card that you will ever see.
Oh, without a doubt, Will. I mean, he knows he has to make the challenge. Of course, he's not going to have any protests. But even more so because he knows he has to get that challenge in before Neymar gets into the penalty area. Yeah. Of course, a free kick's obviously going to be bought instead of a penalty in the eyes of Serbia. But we're just seeing it. Wait, after just mentioning Gudelj for committing that foul and getting a yellow card, it was actually him that gave that ball away in the first minute over this second half. Rafinha does well to dispossess him in such a dangerous area. Milinkovic-Savic just sticks out his left leg. It's his thigh that clears it away from danger. So in the space of 3 minutes, it's been a poor old second half for Gudelj. Yellow card now, and even worse if one of many set-piece talents in Brazil's ranks can punish them.
Yeah, free kick, probably around 20, 25 yards. It's left of centre. Only two players standing over it in the form of Rafinha and Neymar. You'd imagine Neymar's going to want to take this and try and open up his country's account for this campaign of the World Cup. Camera focuses in on him. Looks like it's a four-man wall for Serbia with a player lying down behind. As we await Alireza Fagani to give the all-clear for this free kick. Big opportunity for Brazil. Blows his whistle. I think he's actually asking Paqueta and Casemiro to come a little bit further forward as the sweat runs down the forehead of Neymar. Whistle goes, it is Neymar, it's over the wall, but it's an important flick away, I think, by Alexander Mitrovic, who's being congratulated by his teammates, and it's, well defended in the end.
It is. I think it's a combination of him and Milinkovic-Savic. Of course, the two well, 2 of the 3 attackers in the lineup, but they're always going to come back and defend such a dangerous scenario like that. Tall men in the wall doing their job, they jump as well. It's difficult for Neymar to get it up and over and under the crossbar.
Corner kick into the area, forced to Richarlison. Can you get a shot away? Blocked well by Milenkovic. There's a couple of men down for Brazil and Serbia. The clearance is eventually out of play for a throw-in. They're not going to be able to take it. I think it's Milenkovic-Savic who's down on the deck, and well, it's nothing to do with any collision with the player. I think it's just because Thiago Silva's header goes square into the throat. So I think it's just been a little bit winded, and he'll definitely be okay to continue, but it's going to be a sore one all the same.
Oh, it will. It's almost like he's just got a cheap shot to the jaw, really.
Yeah.
He's up on his feet now. It's more the shock more than anything, I suppose. You just saw the replay then. It wasn't Milenkovic-Savic. It was Milenkovic, the number 4 of Serbia, that got the vital touch in the end. And yet, the number 20 of Serbia, he's holding on to his throat. It'll have winded him almost, but he's back on the feet. It's a throw-in for Brazil, still inside Serbian territory. But likely, it's a very positive start from Brazil. Of course, we said that Serbia didn't create anything in the first 45. And from what we've seen so far in this period, it's still all Brazil.
It is still all Brazil, with Marquinhos finding the right-hand side in the form of Alexandro. Now, once again, with the crossfield pass intending for Vinicius Junior, did well to utilise his strength, goes down rather cheaply, won't win the free kick. It will be a throw-in for Serbia on that left-hand side. Vinicius immediately back on to his feet. We're seeing a replay here. I mean, yes, there's a clip in the heels, but he makes a very big meal of it, it must be said, as the clearance is made by Zivkovic. Gudelj will try and get the flick on. Falls to Richarlison now with Paqueta over towards Rafinha. Opportunity for Brazil. Rafinha, some vital sliding tackle by the already booked Pavlovic. Timed it to perfection. If he mistimes that, not only would it be a penalty, surely he would have been sent off.
That's crucial. And we said when he got his yellow card that he needs to be careful not making tactical fouls. He has to make that challenge to get the block in. Rafinha's had so much, we said it after minute 1 really, he had so much space on that far side. What a block in from a tackle from Pavlovic in the end on a yellow card, as you say. Would have been double trouble for them if he mistimed it, going down to 10 men and having to face a penalty. But the brilliant defending, brilliant, and even more concerned now. It looks like he's on his feet, Paqueta, but he seemed in a bit of pain as well.
Yeah, but from what I saw from that image, well, at least the replay of his skill that caused the injury to his lower back, he seemed to hold his lower back after having his shirt pulled. So I hardly doubt a pulled shirt would cause that much damage, but he is okay to continue as Mitrovic tries to hold off Thiago Silva. Great play by the veteran defender, the Brazilian captain, and Vinicius does really well to ride the tackle with Milenkovic and break forward. Here's Vinicius Junior, well tackled by Zivkovic. He still holds on to a bit dangerous ball in. A vital flick away by Pavlovic, falls to Alexandro, poor clearance, and then it falls kindly to Zivkovic, and he'll look to maraud forward for Serbia, but then he runs into traffic, and once again Thiago Silva's there to mop up, and Brazil just beginning to turn the screw on Serbia.
And it's all down to Vinicius Junior there. When he rides the first challenge, that's the most impressive. He's right on the touchline and somehow keeps the ball in and gets past Zivkovic. Then again at the second time of asking, gets the ball in. I think Neymar absolutely throws himself to the ball. One out of desperation, Nathan. He wasn't ever going to get onto it, but full marks for trying at least. But it's relentless now from Brazil. They've got a bit more lease for life attacking wise, and it just seems there's a bit more space given up by the Serbian back line.
Yes, definitely so. One question I sort of want to put over to you, Ben. For example, in the Euros, we've had a few shock winners before, the likes of Denmark in '92 and, of course, the famous one of Greece in 2004. The World Cup never really looks to offer that sort of shock from a winner perspective. Maybe we got close in the last edition with Croatia getting all the way to the final, then beaten by France. So I think everyone can agree were deserving winners in the end. They were fantastic throughout the tournament. Is this a tournament that we could see one of those shocks finally come to fruition?
It's difficult, isn't it, Will? I'll just break off because Vinicius Junior gets the ball into the box. Looking for Neymar, first time strike. It's not the cleanest of hits. It was sort of behind him, the ball from Vinicius, so he's had to lean back, which always is going to mean it's difficult to get it on target. Goes wide of the mark. About the World Cup, I think, well, obviously when he compares to the Euros, of course, this is the culmination of every federation, every continent coming in. So you're going to get the best teams of other continents as well competing. I think the best thing about the World Cup is that when you win it, it really does mean you are the very best. And always full credit to Greece and Denmark and the like when they win the Euros, and they will be, by title, the best team in Europe. But will they have ever been the best team in Europe? The credit to the World Cup is that if you do win the tournament, I think you really are considered to be the best of the best. And that's the beauty of it, really. I mean, in an infinite sense, we might absolutely be guaranteed an underdog winner at some point. We've seen certainly some shocks in this World Cup already, which, rather than showing there are teams that can go far in the competition, I think it's showing that the big teams are really prone to having this shock and sort of a panic about them and a surprise defeat. But in that regard, that surely means then that there'll be more surprises along the way. And if the big teams sort of just freeze up in games like this, like Argentina did against Saudi Arabia, like Germany did against Japan, who's to say there won't be teams that go far?
Well, we have a free kick for Brazil in this one, with Lukic just going a little bit late on. Neymar trying to tackle from around the Brazilian number 10, but clearly caught the heels first. We're seeing our first changes of this game. It's Gudelj of Serbia who is the first player to make way, as is Zivkovic. So it's a double change for the Serbs. Trying to work out who it is that is coming on. We've got a number 24. Haven't quite worked out the name there. Looks like it's Ilic that is coming on, and Radonjic as well, who is coming on, the number 7. So double change there. Any surprises with those changes?
Well, there's absolutely no surprise that Gudelji's gone off after that crunching yellow card tackle. And when you're a centre mid, especially against Brazil, who have seen so much of the ball in the final third, I wonder if that was a strike from range then. I don't know who that was from Brazil on the halfway line trying to catch Milinkovic-Savic out. When you're a centre midfielder, backs against the walls, you can't be on a yellow card with essentially a full half to go. So it was the right decision made to take him off. I've seen Nemanja Radonjic on a few occasions. He previously played for Marseille as well. He now plies his trade for Torino. It's a rare for all forward for Serbia. If they get the cross right from Tadic, looking for at the back post. It was the other substitute, was it not? Making a late run into the area. And Alexandro has to clear. It was Nemanja Radonjic. He was trying to pounce on a potential header. Got to be careful now, Brazil from a corner. They've dominated the game in terms of possession and attacking. It only takes one set piece to change all that.
Yes, and well, for the players brought on, Radonjic, this is his 37th appearance, so he's already had a fair bit of experience in international football. Maybe Ivan Ilic could be a little bit of a surprise. 21 years old, his 7th appearance for his country, plies his trade for Hellas Verona in Serie A. Can he make a name for himself for his country in this tournament as Tadic puts the ball into the area, headed up rather than away? It will almost fall into Mitrovic, well dealt with by Marquinhos. Fantastic defending by the Brazilian. In fact, it was actually Lucas Paqueta that beat Mitrovic not once but twice in the air there. So throw in for Serbia on the far left-hand side. They still yet to test Alisson in the Brazil goal or have a shot in anger going wide or over. Here's Ilic. That's a lovely pass to find Milinkovic-Savic, who holds off Paqueta. His pass is blocked. Will it be kept in play? It will not. It might have come off Milinkovic-Savic last. It has. That will be a goal kick for Brazil. Opportunity for them to clear their lines. They're getting decent amount of possession, and I feel like the set pieces, your corners, your free kicks, and mainly just crosses into the area, that's going to be the area for Serbia to actually exploit, considering their physicality is probably far. They're a bigger side essentially than Brazil. And
we've highlighted, haven't we? We've listed the heights of some players. Of course, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic is certainly an aerial threat, being 6'4". Mitrovic is just a wonderful striker if he's on your team, of course, a nuisance for defenders, using his strength and whatnot, but the crosses just haven't been on the money. There haven't been too many. So when you get one, you've really got to make it count. Here comes Alexandro with a strike from distance, hits the post, it crashes off the post, the inside of the post, in fact, and it's still with Brazil at the moment, with the other fullback, Danilo, looking to the back stick where Vinicius Junior is waiting. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic was completely beaten on that one. A thunderous effort from Brazil's left-back. We've said that there have been a plethora of left-backs in their history, not least someone that could strike from range, Roberto Carlos. Alexandro might not be known for that one, but what an effort that is.
That is a fantastic strike by Alexandro. So much pace and power behind it. The keeper's not getting there if it's on target. I think it might actually squirm just underneath his arm. but it cannons off the post before falling to Brazil, and they couldn't quite make the attack count. Just thinking back at this World Cup so far, well, a fair few high-scoring games and a load of excitement. I don't think we've yet seen too many sort of amazing goals. Probably the best one that I can actually think of is maybe Gavi's effort on the half volley in their 7-0 win over Costa Rica, as the ball intending for Rafinha is easily gathered by the Serbian goalkeeper. But that probably would have been the most likely, if not the best goal of the tournament, if it did end up in the back of the net.
It certainly would have been. I think the other one I can think of, whilst it was just about inside the area, was Aldosari's for Saudi Arabia when they took the lead against Argentina. That was a fantastic curling effort into the far corner. From a defender, I know that certainly fullbacks, especially in the modern age, are so capable of obviously being technical with the ball, but they've got a fair strike on them as well. That was a great effort from Alexandro. As I said, the keeper was beaten, but well, the post wasn't, unfortunately for him.
Long ball by the goalkeeper, trying to find Mitrovic, headed away by Thiago Silva, falls to Marquinhos. Now support with Alexandro. Little over an hour gone in this game, listening to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Brazil 0, Serbia 0. Brazil, if they are still struggling for goals, have a plethora of attacking talents to bring on if they need to be. Players you might be familiar with, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Anthony, Real Madrid's Rodrigo, of course Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli, who's only had 3 games for his country at the young age of 21. Maybe even Bruno Guimaraes, the Newcastle midfielder, could enter the field of play at some point. He's got 1 goal in 8 games so far for his country. Here's Rafinha on the right-hand side, away from Mladenovic. Lovely play, finding Neymar, and heavy touch by Brazilian number 10. The clearance is made, can't find Mitrovic, and Serbia are camped inside their own area, let alone their own half. As Casemiro finds Neymar, he gets away from one, lovely dribbling by him. Neymar tries to get a shot away, he stands him up, then falls. Vinicius, fantastic save, falls to the rebound to Richarlison, and there is the opening goal for Brazil. It is the number 9, the Tottenham Hotspur forward, Richarlison. That's in the right place at the right time to convert from close range, and you can't say that hadn't been coming.
Oh, it hasn't, but Richarlison, he's been so isolated all game. We so often think that with lone strikers. But as soon as he gets that opportunity, he takes it with aplomb. It's brilliant poacher play, really, because it's a fierce effort from Vinicius Junior, well saved by Milinkovic-Savic. It's a good palm away, so it comes at Richarlison at quite some pace. It's great reactions to just get any touch on it, because he's sort of got the whole goal to aim at. The keeper's down from that previous dive, but it's still work to do for Richarlison. It's by no means a tap-in, as we just see the replay on it here. He just has to stick his shin out in the end. The ball's almost going past him. It's gone past Pavlovic, but not past Richarlison. It's good reactions from him to thunder it into the back of the net. And it's been coming after the hour mark. The deadlock's broken. Full marks to Brazil for their attacking players. For Serbia now, they've got to change something at least in the final third.
Yeah, they need to offer something going forward, which they really haven't done so far in this game. They've only named 3 forwards in their entire World Cup squad, and they're starting one in the form of Alexander Mitrovic. They've got good other talents in the form of Luka Jovic and Dusan Vlahovic, but then apart from that, you're looking at more of attacking midfielders, maybe likes of Filip Kostic, to come on to help change the game. But here's an opportunity maybe for Serbia to come forward with the number 7 in Radonjic. Cleared away by the experienced Marquinhos, and then Tadic is down the deck holding his head. No foul awarded, and then there's a foul given away by the number 24, Ilic, and actually it might have been Lukic. There's definitely been a yellow card shown. Tadic still down on the deck, clutching maybe the back of his head / upper neck. Still waiting for confirmation of who it is that's been shown this yellow card. Is it a bit unfair on the Serbs there, or is it a definite yellow? And it looks like it has gone to Sasa Lukic.
Well, it has gone to Lukic. I wouldn't be surprised if someone on the Serbian bench gets a yellow card. There's about 10 of them that just raced off of their seats to run at the referee. Of course, they wanted a free kick. We're just seeing a replay now. It's a palm from Casemiro and sort of shoves into the back of the neck. I think it is a foul because Casemiro's had to go through Tadic really to win that ball. Referee hasn't seen it. There's fury on the bench of the Serbs, and after all that, which only just makes it more frustrating, as Brazil ended themselves a free kick.
Yeah, of course. Well, looking at the Serbian bench at the moment, I can see Darko Lazovic ready to come on. I think Dusan Vlahovic is about to come on as well, so they're going to enter a few more attacking talents to try and help change the game in their favour. try and put as little strain on their final group game against Switzerland as possible. It is Sasa Lukic that is making way, as is Mladenovic. So, by my calculations, that is an entirely new midfield four that's now onto the field of play.
Well, you said there's only 3 attackers in the whole squad, so they've got plenty of midfielders to choose from. So you'd imagine.
Is one thing coming
well,
on.
There you go. Yeah, he's going to be. Well, that's a top now, and what a talented striker he is as well.
Yeah.
But essentially having a whole new midfield, they've got that at their disposal with so many midfielders in the 25-man squad, fresh legs in the attacking third at least, bombing forward now on that far hand side. Danilo does brilliantly to dispossess the Serbian man, but at least the change has been forced because they've of course gone 1 goal down, but at least for the neutral that should mean a far more exciting remainder of this game, so we should be thankful that Richarlison got the goal.
Yes, of course, it should hopefully make things a little bit more interesting as the game goes on. Still have around 24 minutes of the mandatory 90 plus any added on time for stoppages, which, considering we've already had 4 substitutes and a goal, I think that already puts it as a bare minimum 5 minutes added on, as Milinkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper for Serbia, sets off Velkovic. Serbia will look to try and make their way further up the field. Velkovic finds Pavlovic. Now on the left is Radonjic. Over towards Tadic, back towards a number 7, misplaced pass now with Richarlison, finding Neymar, and there's a 2-on-1 here. Neymar supporting Vinicius Junior, can be found. That's another brilliant bit of defending, this time by Milenkovic. Then Vinicius still holds on to it. Vinicius with the opportunity, and then that's a rather comical slip right at the death. And feet overhead, really, from Vinicius, who did really well to recover and keep the attack going, but couldn't quite get the required shot away.
Well, he's not going to be happy with the sprinklers that have been on the pitch, because it's just at the crucial moment he pulls the trigger and his standing leg just totally gives way in the end. He just scuffs that shot so wide of the mark, but what a ball from Rafinha to get that going. It was a 3-on-2 scenario for Brazil, and Richarlison peeled off for whatever reason. Neymar couldn't get it off to Vinicius the first time of asking. The second ball came to the Real Madrid winger, just fell at the wrong time, but what a ball. And with Serbia committing so many men forward now, I mean, you look at when they're in possession there, it's almost like a 4-1-4-1 now. A lot more players in attack, so it's going to be a lot easier for Brazil if they want to go on the counter to make passes like that.
Yeah, I just wonder if Serbia have also moved to a back 4 as Milenkovic goes towards number 24 in Ilic, now with Pavlovic. Pavlovic finding support in Dusan Tadic. Serbia really are trying to get players further forward, yet to have a shot in anger though in this game, but the further forward they get, the more chances they're surely going to be able to create to actually test the Brazilian goalkeeper Alisson Becker, as Radonjic gets a cross in, well dealt with by Casemiro at the near post in the end, setting out for a corner kick, and it's an opportunity for the big boys to get into the area for Serbia. This could be a real area of promise for them if a good delivery can be put in, and that is the real key here. It's got to find a man in red. Looks like, by my calculation, that's 6 players in the area to aim for Serbia. Ball put into the areas. Pavlovic's header, first shot for Serbia, goes comfortably over.
69 minutes into the game, it's their first shot. At least they're trying now. Better late than never, I suppose. But the cross is better, because we've mentioned the crosses haven't been on the money for Serbia at the moment. Finally, at least they get one that creates an opportunity. But it's good pressure from Brazil's captain, Thiago Silva, in the end. And he just doesn't get on top of the ball, Pavlovic, resulting in it heading quite comfortably over the crossbar. Alisson has not been tested with that first shot, of course. But he's not seen a lot of the ball, which I'm sure he'll be delighted with. The clean sheet is still intact for now, but we can expect Serbia to come forward a lot more often.
Yeah, by the looks of things, they've changed to a 4-2-3-1 formation. Vlahovic playing on the right-hand wing, and he's got the possession here after Milenkovic makes a tackle. It's a heavy touch, though, by Dusan Vlahovic, and then rather cynically fouls Thiago Silva. I think that will go out for... No, it's not going to be a free kick. It's going to be a corner kick. Well, Vlahovic's done really well to win that after it was his error. That gifted possession straight back to Brazil. So opportunity once again for Serbia will be Dusan Tadic, the captain, to deliver. It's another good delivery like the last. Tadic, ball into the area, gets towards the back post, just about cleared away. The ball flicked back in. Marquinhos makes the clearance. Vlahovic goes for the audacious overhead kick. Then the effort comes by Lazovic, goes comfortably wide, and the attack breaks down. But Serbia were very, very close to scoring there. I don't think a Serbian player actually touched it until it fell to Lazovic on the edge, though.
Oh, okay.
Apart Sergei
yeah, when he eventually, there was like 3 Brazilian touches before that. They make an absolute meal of it to the South American side. A few corners, and all of a sudden they're panicking. It's the height of Serbia. Whilst they didn't get a touch on it, they're just putting Brazil under pressure now with the defenders, and it gets cleared out to the box. They have a pot shot from range to Serbia. It comes to nothing, but these corners are looking threatening now.
Yeah, really, really threatening. I'm sure Brazil will try make their way further up the field to make sure that does not be a regular occurrence. We are past the halfway point of this second half. It is Brazil 1, Serbia 0. It will be Ben White that will take us through to full time.
Thank you, Will. There's certainly a lot of life in this game now as Serbia trying to get back into their game. They're forward again here with Alexander Mitrovic, and outside of the boot cross doesn't pay off. It's blocked by Lucas Paquetá. Kindly into the hands of Alisson. I'm sure he'll be wanting to hold on to the ball just to regroup the players ahead of him. A bit startled after going in front. Thanks to that strike from Richarlison. 10 or so minutes ago. Tite, the Brazilian manager, demonstrating with his players. He'll be happy overall with the performance. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a second goal in this one to just see it off.
Yes, definitely so. The longer it stays 1-0, the longer you think Serbia are going to believe they can get that elusive goal to get back on level terms. But there's gaps to exploit for Brazil. They just need to do it effectively.
And there's gaps here now with Neymar. It's a poor ball. Looking for Lucas Paquetá. So heavy. It hasn't been Neymar's game, really. We say it's so unlike him if he's misperforming. But one to forget for the Brazilian number 10 at the moment. He had a chance to get on the ball there. This time it was Vinicius Junior giving the ball away. Sloppy in possession, Brazil. They're certainly startled with the, perhaps the change in formation from Serbia. Going to that back 4, allowing for more men to run up front. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic certainly will be one of those wanting to get his team back into this one. As it stands, it would, of course, be on 0 points alongside Cameroon, who fell to a 1-0 defeat to Switzerland earlier on. Tite is going to make a substitution of his own now. There'll be one in midfield. Fred, with Manchester United's midfielder, looking to come on. Could be for Lucas Paquetá. Of course, he was nursing an injury a few minutes ago. Serbia lumping it forward to nobody. Alexandro can pounce on that ball, and acres of space for Vinicius and Neymar to pass it between each other. Up against the recent substitutes now. Vinicius outside of the boot to Richarlison, goes for the spectacular, and what a spectacular goal that is from the number 9. The first touch was impressive, but how about the second, the clinical one, the overhead strike? It's a wonderful effort from Brazil's number 9. Testament to the number 9s they've seen over the decades. He's got his second goal of the game, and what a goal.
Wow, I'm in absolute shock, Ben. That's an unbelievable finish by Richarlison, who, like you mentioned for the first goal, he's barely had a sniff in this game, but he picks it up for Vinicius, and it's a difficult ball to deal with, the cross from Vinicius Junior. One touch in the air to set himself up, and before the ball can effectively drop, he produces a moment of sheer magic. Scissor kick, rifles into the bottom left-hand corner. Bottom right-hand corner, I should say. No chance for the goalkeeper, Milinkovic-Savic, whatsoever, and I think that might now be the best goal of the tournament.
Oh, yeah, we were only just talking about it a few minutes ago. I mean, from the first touch of Richarlison, you just knew he was going to attempt it, but to actually expect it to go in, he's full of quality as Richarlison. He's had a few injuries in his debut season with Tottenham, but on the international stage, he has always delivered. He got the third goal for Brazil in the 2019 Copa America final from the penalty spot to give them the trophy. But here in the 2022 World Cup, he has set Brazil alight. And now Brazil will make that change. It is Paquetá to come off for Fred. Let's give it a round of applause. Well, either to Paquetá or to Richarlison for what was an unbelievable effort from the number 9. Brazilian fans full of voice yet again. What a sort of response to Serbia's response that was from Brazil. It's backs to the walls at the moment for the Canarinho. But what a way to answer that pressure from Serbia with a second goal. Charleston's second of the game. It looks like Tite is going to make another substitution. Rodrigo Goes is coming on for his Real Madrid teammate, Vinicius Junior. His races run for this one, with victory likely in the bag. I say that, not certain in this World Cup, but 2 goals to the good with only a quarter of an hour left in this one. Incidentally, that brace for Richarlison puts him on to 19 goals in a Brazilian shirt in only his 39th cap. That's almost a goal every 2 games, which for a striker I think is sort of the barometer of success. But on an international stage, that's even more impressive.
Oh yeah, it really is, and Richarlison is making that striker position his own. It's a position that they've really struggled to fill ever since Ronaldo retired. Obviously, in the 2014 World Cup, they had Fred in that position. They tried to utilise maybe Firmino there on a couple of occasions. I always think he's better as a centre forward or a cam rather than an out-and-out striker. And he's keeping Gabriel Jesus, who's having a fantastic season for Arsenal, out from the starting lineup as well. And I think what that is not necessarily down to his ability from a from his talent perspective, because we know he's got a great finishing ability and he's got a great first touch, but that's what a lot of Brazilian players have. I think what really puts him ahead is his work rate.
Here's Rodrigo Goes looking for, well, Richarlison scored a spectacular goal. I think Rodrigo was trying to get a sweet volley on that connection. In the end, it was cleared by Serbia. Just about get the ball back under their spell is Dusan Vlahovic, riding the challenge of Rodrigo, but not Casemiro. And again, they're just hounded out by Brazil. High press was more evident in the first half, but it's back again in the second. Here's Rodrigo Goes, the recent substitute, getting into the area, looking to pull the trigger. Great tackle from the number 4 Milenkovic. He is furious with his teammate, fullback Darko Lazovic, for, well, he was a leisurely pace really was Vlahovic. In the end, almost gifted a chance for Brazil to get their third of the game. I mentioned that Richarlison has an impressive rate for Brazil. Let's not forget Neymar's 75 goals in 122 appearances. He's only 2 behind the all-time leader. Of course, no surprise there, it is the legendary Pelé. Of course, only 20 caps behind, becoming the highest in Brazil's history as well. Cafu at the moment is on 142. Neymar enters this competition, or at least starts this game, with cap number 122. But I think it was Neymar, in fact, he's just gone down after just mentioning his record. Big concern for Brazil. He is looking for the attention of the physios. I don't know if he's just he's taken the tape off his boots, which normally suggests he expects his match to be up. Assume that the next substitution Brazil make will see Neymar go off. The physios are now on. I don't know what that's come from, really. It's always a concern when a player goes down, not really under a tough challenge. There is another substitution being made by Brazil. It's not going to be Neymar first. It's going to be who is the difference maker at the moment, Richarlison, Brazil's number 9. 2 great goals. First one, a fantastic poacher's effort, but a second, a contender for goal of the tournament. He goes off for another Premier League Brazilian striker in Gabriel Jesus, of course, playing for the league leaders Arsenal at the moment. There's a lot of Premier League talent in the Brazilian squad. There's plenty in defence, midfield and attack. Going back to Neymar, it's a bit of a concern that he has gone down holding his ankle, I think it was. We're just seeing another replay of this goal from Richarlison. A fantastic effort. The first touch and then the strike sort of sends it sort of back where the cross came from. So Milinkovic-Savic has absolutely no chance to clamber back to that near post. What a goal.
I think he controls it with his left and then shoots with his right, which makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, he's got talent with both feet, hasn't he, Richarlison? Has proven with the touch and finish. Yeah, Neymar has also come off. He's gone off on his own volition, as it were, in the sense he's walking without the assistance of the physios. Anthony on in his place, another Premier League player. So many of them. Is it, well, more than double figures in the squad that do ply their trade in the Premier League at the moment. And one of the first involvements for them. Out further wide now is Rafinha. one of the attackers that has remained on the field. In fact, the only one of the front four to still be on the pitch. The overlap from Danilo back into Rafinha. Under pressure from Milinkovic-Savic, and they just about get it cleared to Serbia. Second goals seemingly took the wind out of their sails in what was an attempt to get back into this one. Here's Anthony, one of his first few touches to Alexandro now. Brazil will be glad that they finally got their goals. And, well, I'll ask that in a second, because Anthony tries to get onto this one. I think it runs out in the end for a goal kick. They'll be glad and relieved, maybe, that this match is... should be a corner, in fact. The last touch is off of Lazovic. Goal kick is given. The relief will be there for Brazil. Touted on paper, I suppose, as favourites for this tournament. There's always going to be extra pressure that you've got to prove to people that you are in contention to win what would be a 6th World Cup title and keep your place at the top of the tree in the historical standings. There's a long way to go, but positive signs are there after this one.
Yeah, really, really positive as Fred comes forward and finds Rafinha. I'll give you my opinion very, very soon, but the attack is still on here for Brazil as the shot comes in from Casemiro. Oh, it's off the crossbar. They've hit now the post and the crossbar. They're getting so close. And, well, Serbia are just inviting this pressure, aren't they?
They are. From the moment that Casemiro struck that ball, it looked like it was destined.
You were celebrating.
I put my hands up already. It just looked like one of those that was already going in. Crossbar preventing Brazil from a third. Still in possession. They look so comfortable on the face of it. Only that narrow scare from giving a goal up. Apart from that, Brazil have been totally dominant. Tite will be delighted with the performance of his players, and they'll come forward again here. Rodrigo Goic on the edge of the area into Fred. The layoff back to Rodrigo. Good save. Milinkovic-Savic is a busy man at the moment. Is the Serbian keeper. Carried only as far as Rafinha. Into Danilo now. Casemiro looking to flick it further forward. Comes instead back to Rodrigo. Danilo. Rafinha hugging the far touchline. Mladenovic and Radonjic it is. Having to mark the Barcelona winger. Reverse ball from Fred. Looking for the feet of Gabriel Jesus. He goes down rather softly in the end. There's a little bit of a shove from the number 4 Milinkovic, but he's just using his strength more than anything. See the replay of Casemiro's effort. It's a great effort. Placed more than power. Just a bit too much height on it as it crashes off the crossbar. So yeah, well, what are your thoughts about their first performance in a tournament that they are touted as favourites? But there's nothing certain.
No, nothing certain by any stretch of the imagination. And simply, whenever you come over to me, there's an opportunity for Brazil, as Fred has an effort.
It just shows how relentless they are going forward.
It really does. Fred's shot there, parried out for a corner kick by the goalkeeper. But I've got to say, the defending from Serbia over the past 5-10 minutes has been absolutely woeful. But I'll rather rush my opinion now, so at least we have an opportunity to get this question done. It's been a very convincing performance from Brazil. I've been very, very impressed with them against what shaped up to be a very, very difficult opposition, and they've dealt with it very, very comfortably, so it's almost flawless from them.
Corner taken quickly by Brazil. Feet of Anthony. Now there was a substitution made by Serbia in between that corner kick. Alexander Mitrovic came off. I'm not sure who came on. I think it was the number 6, Nemanja Maksimovic. As the ball comes in, looking for Gabriel Jesus, punched clear by Milinkovic-Savic, being 2-0 down, and I think in the end Gabriel Jesus was in an offside position. Respite for Serbia. I mean, that change is so sort of a testament to what's happened in these final 10 or so minutes, taking an attacker off and bringing a midfielder on after you brought on Dusan Vlahovic for a midfielder. So you committed to those two strikers up top. Hasn't necessarily worked, and the numbers prove it. Brazil have had 22 attempts on goal. Serbia only 3. They will come forward here with Radonjic on the far side, and it's just not worked for Serbia all day. Radonjic just runs out of room. It goes out for a goal kick for Brazil. Of course, as it stands, they would be bottom of this group, given that 10 teams are on the same amount of points. It is adjudged by goal difference. Good pressure in the end from Milenkovic. He gets a shot away, blocked by Thiago Silva. Alisson tries to keep it from going for a corner. It does go for a set piece for the Orlovi. And, well, they certainly made a nuisance of themselves from corners 20 or so minutes ago. It's a chance for them to make the most of this one to at least half the deficit And going into a game that, whilst only has 5 minutes left, we never know how much added time will be made. Dusan Tadic whips it in, the outswinger looking for Pavlovic, cleared well by Marquinhos. Trying to be hooked back in. Serbia comes to nothing in the end, and here comes yet another Brazilian counter-attack. Anthony with Rodrigo for help. Instead goes back to Casemiro. To Alexandro now. Well, on the face of it, you'd assume that the victory is wrapped up for Brazil. They're on a quite a positive run at the moment when it comes to group stages. They're unbeaten in their last 15 World Cup group stage matches, winning 12 of those, drawing 3. That'll make that 16 at the end of this one if the result is to say the same. It shows that getting out of the groups isn't the problem. It's just that in recent tournaments, when it comes to that knockout style, Gabriel Jesus has just broken the run of the Serbian back line. Chance to run at Pavlovic, a few step overs from the Arsenal man, fizzes it into an area to poor ball, cleared by Veljakovic into Brazilian possession. It's just that knockout round that always proves it's only 90 minutes or 120 minutes to separate a team from being eliminated and going to the next round. It just shows that you've got to take it by game basis, and that any form you create in a group stage isn't really relevant.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it has opportunity comes in for Rodrigo, going quite comfortably over in the end. But yeah, I mean, like you say, they've always been pretty confident and comfortable in the group stage areas. But I think in those games when they face sort of really decent opposition, the issue that I've always found for Brazil is sort of twofold. One is that they're a very, very tricky side. If you can nullify the tricks, they don't really have a plan B. And also, because they're a tricky side, they have a certain style and physicality of player. And if you can just bully them and muscle them off the ball, you're always going to have, or not to that extent, you're going to have the better of them. And that, for the majority of the time, is what European football is about. So if they don't have sort of mercurial talent in every single position, they come up short against European sides.
I mentioned only a few minutes ago that Arsenal's Brazilian talent in Gabriel Jesus came on as a substitute. Another one of Mikel Arteta's men has come onto the field in the shape of the number 26, Gabriel Martinelli. He's on a very, well, it's a fantastic season at the moment for him and the Gunners. Remains to be seen whether they can hold on to that lead at the top of the Premier League once the World Cup is over. Here is Martinelli, a chance to run at Maksimovic, the recent Serbian substitute, gets into the area, cuts it back, looking for his Arsenal teammate Gabriel Jesus. Serbia just about deal with it at the back. Just going back to the performances in recent World Cups, of course they had the quarter-final. Well, since winning in 2002, as a shot from Anthony goes high and wide over Milinkovic-Savic's crossbar. After being champions in 2002, they haven't got beyond the quarter-finals on more than one occasion. They only got to that semi-final in 2014 as the host nation, losing to Germany, of course. In the other three, always falling at the quarter-finals. So they seem to get past the round of 16 on every occasion. But when it gets to that final 8, I'm sure they'll be hoping for this edition, at least, they can get just that bit further. I think one of the possibilities, I know that Argentina, of course, lost in their match against Saudi Arabia. I think one of the possibilities is if these two teams were to carry on, it would meet in the semi-final. And what semi-final that would be between two bitter South American rivals. Here's Danilo looking for a cross towards the back post. It's a chance for Gabriel Martinelli. I think in the end the referee, the Iranian Alireza Faghani's given a free kick to Serbia for a shove on the back of Lazovic. Soft one in the end, but regardless, the ball wasn't goal bound. Still showing Brazil's intent to score so many more.
Yeah, I mean, Martinelli, ever since he's come onto the field, has just had so much drive and belief in his own ability and has caused havoc down this left-hand side. I think Brazil, the rest of the players, just wanting to play the ball around and maybe see out the clock. Not Martinelli, though. He's wanting to get himself on the score sheet, or at least increase the lead further and put far more gloss on the performance.
Here's Fred now. Again, deep inside Serbian territory, where the ball has been for the majority of this second half. Incidentally, the two Brazilians playing for Arsenal have scored the same amount of goals in the Premier League, 5 apiece for Jesus and Martinelli. Well, Jesus has it all, really. Not only does he have 5 goals, but 6 assists as well. Showing he has that creative spark, even as a number 9. There's always that debate about whether he should start ahead of Richarlison. Supposedly, it's so rare for Brazil to see them have 2 strikers up top, but they've got 2 talented players in there that really are always going to have a debate of who should start. Richarlison, of course, he always performs under Tite. I think he's the favoured striker and has been for a number of years. 7 minutes have been added on to the end of this one. Full marks to anyone that could have guessed that. I didn't even ask for your guess in the end. Mine certainly wouldn't have been 7. There hasn't been too many stoppages. I know that there was a slight injury to Neymar. It's just been the goals and the substitutes that have ticked the clock away.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I would have gone for 5. So even if I did bother get my guess out, it still would have been wrong. But yeah, 7 extra minutes, 7 long minutes for Serbia. Unless I can get a surprise goal in the next minute or so, could make things a little bit nervy for Brazil. But at the moment, it looks pretty comfortable for the home. Well, I say home side for the side on the left of the scoreline at least.
Well, there's plenty of fans of both persuasion in the stands. You can see a sea of not only yellow, but a sea of red, especially behind the goal that Serbia are attacking at the moment. They just haven't been able to make the most of the opportunities they have had. Ball into the box from Dusan Tadic. Alisson comes to claim it, goes over the gloves of the Liverpool goalkeeper. It's with Milenkovic now, under pressure from Gabriel Martinelli. It's a poor touch from the Fiorentina defender. Out for a throw-in for Brazil. Incidentally, Dusan Tadic celebrated his 34th birthday on the opening day of this World Cup. Certainly doesn't seem 34 years of age. He's still a wonderful talent. Well, I say talent. He's a wonderful player who performs so often, so brilliantly for Ajax and for Serbia. Just a player down in the box for Brazil after that ball into the area. There's a collision between Alexandro and Alisson. Both of them making a bit of a meal of it. In the end, it's just the sort of clinical nature. We've mentioned the strikers that they have in Mitrovic, Vlahovic, and of course Luka Jovic. She thought for seconds Gabriel Martinelli is going to try and get past Pavlovic. Falls kindly to Gabriel Jesus, into Martinelli now. Chance to run at Milenkovic, into Gabriel Jesus now. That's a heavy touch. Can't get it under his spell, cleared comfortably by Serbia. Danilo is going to ask for the game to be paused. It looks like he's pulling up with either a bit of cramp, maybe even worse, hamstring injury. Staying on his feet. He did pull up there, Danilo. I'm surprised that he didn't want the ball to go out of play. Just looking a bit sheepish on that far side whilst the ball is on the other side of the pitch. Fred looking for Martinelli on that left-hand side, comfortably dealt with by Serbia. Maybe it's not the issue of the clinical nature, because it's not something that it's something you're born with almost, isn't it, for strikers? You either have it or you don't. And I think maybe the issue is sort of the bit behind that, where they need to create more opportunities, because Mitrovic hasn't had a sniff. We said that Richarlison didn't, and then he conjures up 2 things out of nowhere. But Mitrovic has had even less, and of course he's off the pitch now. He'll be frustrated with maybe his team's performance for not giving him enough service. All in all, for Serbia, it's just been one to forget.
Yeah, it's a performance that somewhat lacked belief at times. They sat back, invited pressure, and with the way that they were set up, it's been really, really easy for Brazil to carve them open. Brazil really should be about 5-0 up, if we're being brutally honest. It hasn't been a good performance from Serbia, but they're not going to face Brazil week in, week out. It is a difficult group they have. Switzerland is not going to be an easy contest, and based on the performance that they put in against the Swiss, Cameroon won't be a pushover either. So they have a lot of work to do if they are going to get out of this group.
Still 3 minutes left in this one. Of course, Brazil have already made all 5 of their substitutions. We've just seen Anthony sort of having to go as an emergency fullback, with Danilo going a bit more narrow. He's still limping, is the Brazilian right back. Deciding to stay on the pitch for the remaining minutes rather than Tite's men going down to 10 men. Here's Rodrigo now, using all of his pace, the young winger, bursting past the back line of Serbia, looks into the area for Gabriel Jesus, who made the run to the back post. Ball didn't go off the surface, comfortably cleared again by Serbia. Welcome again, Brazil, ending this match certainly on a high. Here is Jesus. Anthony now back into Danilo, who I imagine has been instructed not really to move at all maybe just the only move he needs to make is to keep the defensive line. Seen him in this game dominate up and down the wing in that full-back position. He's looking a bit more rigid now. Here's Martinelli. Chance to run again at Lazovic. He's had so much freedom on this left-hand side since coming on. So loose ball comes kindly for Serbia. Maybe a throw-in for the Orlovi. The scoreline's only 2-0. It doesn't tell the tale of the dominance that Brazil have had. We've seen a lot of results already in this World Cup that have been high scoring. Of course, England 6-2 against Iran, Spain 7-0 against Costa Rica. I'm not saying that Serbia have had such a terrible performance as that, but they've got two very important fixtures coming up next. I mean, the next one for them to come is against Cameroon, before they then have to play against Switzerland in the final match. 2 games they need to win if they want to progress to the knockout rounds. There's not been a lot of positives for them, but is that maybe just testament to how strong Brazil have been?
Yeah, I think it is, to be honest. We can say Serbia have played poorly, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why Brazil are one of the favourites to win this tournament. It's because they have that amount of attacking talent, and they're gelling as a team as well. That it's almost an entirely different beast to what we've seen in the last maybe 3 or 4 World Cups. They're a side really to be reckoned with, and I mean, considering they've brought, what I'm counting, maybe 9 forwards that were named in the 26-man squad, plus obviously what they can do, like from wing backs and in the midfield as well. There's so much attacking talent, and it's going to be very hard to nullify every single one of them.
30 seconds left in this one. We just saw on the official feed Richarlison enjoying himself on the bench with Dani Alves, almost as he instructed the cameraman to put the lens on them to do. It was a rather bizarre handshake, but he'll be delighted. 2 goals to his name. Of course, that puts him essentially ranked joint first in the top scorers list at the moment, with a number of players in this match day 1 of the 2022 World Cup. Here comes Serbia. Last chance for them to come forward. Here's Ilic to Radonjic on the far side, marked by Anthony. He cuts inside, pulls the trigger. Well blocked in the end by Casemiro. He looks so solid in defence, and the referee Alireza Fagani does blow for the full-time whistle. It's been a dominant display by Brazil. The scoreboard will suggest it has been headlined by one man, Brazil's number 9 Richarlison, who's got both goals, the second of which was a wonderful scissor kick that is certainly in contention for one of the goals of the tournament. Brazil looking very easy on the eye, as they so often do in World Cup tournaments. A fantastic start for them. It's finished Brazil 2, Serbia 0.